1986, the start of Fox Network in the US, the return of Halley's Comet, and the release of The Legend of Zelda.
Watch Zelda become a legend on your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Zelda! Up the rocks! Which way to go? Good times!
Despite its adverts, Zelda NES is regarded as one of the most influential and groundbreaking games of all time. A forerunner of the RPG genre, arguably the first true open-world game, and the first game to introduce save files. Zelda NES was the embodiment of Miyamoto's imagined adventures as a kid. When little 10-year-old Shigeru was running around the Kyoto countryside, Zelda is what he had in mind. And one of my favourite quotes from the man himself is what he pictured the original as being, a miniature garden that they could put inside their drawer. And that's what it was. A world to which the player could escape whenever they wanted. Zelda NES was, in short, a masterpiece. Almost, but we'll get to its flaws later. It seems that with Zelda U, Aonuma's looking back to the original for inspiration and guidance on what the series has always been about, and hopes to base many aspects of the new game on the fantastic innovations of the original. There's a few obvious links between the original and the 2016 title, such as the apparent boundless open world of the new game, and this scene being similar to this piece of promotional art for the NES title. I mean, come on, that can't not be a reference. So The Legend of Zelda is definitely set to take a lot of inspiration from the original. And today I'm going to list 5 features or aspects of the NES game that I think the upcoming title should include, and even dabbling a little into what I think Aonuma's vision for the twist on the open world formula is. Number 5. No hand-holding or forced paths. What I mean by this is complete non-linearity in the overworld. You can go in any direction you like. You're not forced down a certain path, or led in certain directions by invisible walls or blocked off areas. Zelda 1 dropped you off from the very start in the land of Hyrule and you're free to go. Do you want to know how long it takes to unlock the full map in Zelda 1? This long. I believe Aonuma feels the same way about the overworld, judging by this quote. Since we're talking about open worlds, let's state up front that we don't plan to have an open world in the same way other companies have been doing in recent years. In the original Legend of Zelda, there was no clear way to lead the character to his goal. The player was trusted to find it by themselves. As game worlds became more complex, we had to point players in the right direction. Consequently, progress becomes more linear. To recreate an experience similar to the original, the world needs to have a simple structure that players can understand intuitively. We need to make each part of the world feel real and connected so it doesn't look fake. Zelda U has by far the largest overworld of any Zelda game. Seriously, it's huge. Traversing the world is guaranteed to be a large part of the game and Nintendo knows it, giving us a means of rapid travel with Epona early on in the game. The original title, while open world, obviously tackled this in a very basic way. The player could only see one screen at a time and therefore most of the information was immediately available to them, since it was from a bird's eye perspective. This meant that the player was trusted with a lot more freedom and was not led anywhere by companions or set pathways, since they had enough information about the simply designed world to travel where they wanted to go. However, Aonuma notes that as game worlds become more complex, we had to point players in the right direction, and consequently, progress becomes more linear. This is true of many open world games today. The players are technically free to go where they please, but they're always strongly guided down a certain path, and exploration isn't rewarded as strongly as in Zelda 1. In a traditional open world without these guidances, the player could be left wondering,
Which way to go?
the world of Zelda Wii U may be designed like a traditional open world, but as Aonuma says, everything must be laid out clearly and intuitively so that the player can work out where they want to go themselves rather than being led down a fixed path. This all loops back to the quote by Miyamoto, "Miniature garden in your drawer." Without having the player led in certain directions and forced to go down the right path, the world of Zelda U will feel more like a true world, more in the vein of the original. Once more, the Zelda series will succeed in providing players with their own little universe, and they can escape the troubles of the real world to the land of Hyrule once again. Number 4. Secrets. Lots of secrets. One of the greatest elements of the Zelda series, and the original in particular, is secrets. Zelda NES was absolutely jam-packed with them, which is something I want to see in the new title. What's more satisfying than unlocking a hidden area and hearing that blissful jingle? But you know what's not fun? This. This is not fun. This is bullshit. That's what this is. Zelda NES is riddled with infamously weird and cryptic secrets. So hidden in fact that without the internet the player has no hope of finding them outside of just bombing every wall, burning every bush and pushing every rock until they eventually find something. This is something that Zelda U needs to change. It must hide its secrets in an intuitive way that actually allows the player to find them without doing this. Aonuma's description of the world as having a simple structure that players can understand intuitively, I believe could result in a world that actually does this. I think that the way the game hides secrets will be looked at, and they'll be hidden in such a way that players can work out based on the information the game gives them rather than walkthroughs. Number 3. Fucking sword lasers. Seriously, this mechanic is so cool. What's better than a sword? A sword that fires sword beams in the shape of swords. We've seen this so far in games such as the original, Zelda 2, A Link to the Past, and also most recently in A Link Between Worlds. It's been in many of the Zelda games, but most prominently in 2D Zeldas. I'm happy that it returned of a fashion in Skyward Sword in the form of the Skyward Strike, where Link could fire a sword beam by holding his sword skyward for a second before bringing it down and sending a bolt of light at your target. In the new vast world of Zelda U with bigger and badder enemies than ever before, Link should be able to use one of his most forgotten but still iconic traits, the sword beam. Number 2. The difficulty. While I'm not saying it should be quite this difficult in some places, a little step up in the difficulty from other recent Zeldas would be a nice change. Beating the original Legend of Zelda myself for the first time was a beast of a challenge. As you can see here, I died 100 times before unlocking the second quest. 100. Either I suck, or this is a bloody hard game. Probably I just suck. Still, a game that can give me the sense of achievement after beating it that Zelda 1 did would be fantastic, as it truly felt like I'd earned it. I had got better at the game. I'd discovered the secrets and I'd slain the bosses. And by the final dungeon I felt ready to face Ganon one-on-one. A difficult Zelda is a rewarding Zelda. Number 1. Ganon. I know there's been a lot of demand for a new villain in this game. I know. Ganon's been done already 10 times. But while villains like Girahim are cool, can you really tell me that they capture the sheer thrill and complete the Zelda experience as much as going toe to toe with the beast? The feeling of being truly small and powerless compared to the towering demon above you before shoving your sword into his fucking throat. Recently, Hyrule Warriors rekindled my desire to see another large-scale fight versus Ganon. Imagine fighting something this large in a world as big as the new Hyrule. In what is shaping up to be the most extensive and complete, or ultimate Zelda to date, we need the embodiment of power, the Dark Lord, the King of Evil himself, Ganon. Thanks for watching this top 5 video. I'm considering turning this top 5 things Zelda U could learn from format into a series on my channel, individually looking at every Zelda game and making a top 5 video on it up until the game's release. Don't worry, you'll still get Zelda focused videos and other content as well. Please vote in the comments by either commenting yes or no. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.